When we perform our prescribed duties, giving results of work to Lord Vishnu/Krishna.
Okay, that's nice. Okay. Okay, what are the religious sacrifices prescribed in 4 yugas? So in Satyuga, what happened? We could do meditation. Like, they had the lifespan of 1 lakh years. So they could sit and they could nicely finish off their family responsibilities, go to Himalayas, sit down and do meditation. That was fine. Then came Treta Yuga. So that time they would do Agni Yajna, sacrifice. They would do all the sacrifice because everything was very pure that time. So they could do all that. Then Dwapar Yuga came. They used to do charity. They used to do temple worship. Everything was done very nicely. In Kali Yuga, nobody wants to do anything. Neither they can chant. They can go to the temple. They don't go to the temple because of COVID and all. People stopped going to the temple. Even if you want to chant mantras and all that and do sacrifice, nothing is very pure. Everything is processed. And do you have that lifespan so that you can sit and meditate for so many years? No, we don't have. The only option that we have is in Kali Yuga is chanting of this Hare Krishna mantra. So who gave us this Hare Krishna mantra was Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who was Krishna himself and who came some 500 years ago to preach Krishna consciousness, right? So he was the one who gave us. So who introduced the transcendental system of Sankirti Yajna?
Lord Chaitanya.
Lord Chaitanya, very nice. Okay, let's see. The next shloka. Yes, Hare Krishna. Aishwarya Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji. Therefore, without being attached to the fruitives of activities, one should act as a matter of duty. For by working without attachment, one attains the Supreme.
Hare Krishna. So a person, whoever is acting in Krishna consciousness, if he is guided by, and if he is guided very well, and he has no attachment to the result of the work, that means understand that you're progressing towards the supreme goal of life. So what is that? Number 1, act in Krishna consciousness. Under number 2, proper guidance. Number 3, no attachment to the result of the work. You are perfectly doing the right thing and you will know that you are progressing towards the supreme goal of life. And Arjuna is told over here that he should fight in the battle of Kurukshetra. Why? For the interest of Krishna. Why? Because Krishna wanted him to fight. Gita is not telling us not to have any goals or any objective in life. It is telling us not to attach ourselves to the result of whatever we are doing. For example, if you are a football player, your objective is what? Your aim is to hit the goal. If the goal is not set, then what happens? You are simply kicking the ball here and there. There is no goal, right? Your aim should be, if there is no aim, you are simply kicking around the ball. You should be equally happy if you hit and send the ball into the goal. Or even if you miss the goal, it should not matter to you. That is what Gita is telling us. If you miss the goal, you should keep trying to hit, but never give up. And if you hit the goal and you succeed, you should keep trying to hit more goals. But never be unhappy or happy or give up your activity. This is what Gita is telling us. To be a good man or a non-violent man, that's personal attachment. Okay, I want to be a very good person. But to act on the behalf of Krishna, to do everything for Krishna without attachment, that is what is needed. So Krishna consciousness person, he is not attached to the results. He will do everything for Krishna. He will engage in all kinds of activities, but he is completely non-attached. So Arjuna was thinking that, okay, devotional service means I'm still doing something. Or does it mean that no work at all? Krishna says, no. You have to be a role model. Yadyada acharati sreshta tattadevetaro janaha sayat pramanam kurute lokastadanu vartate. Yes, Pradipta. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Whatever action a great man performs, common men follow. And whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world's pursues.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So people generally what they want a leader. They require a leader. Why? Because that leader will teach the whole public by his own practical behavior, right? A leader cannot tell the public, okay, now here, listen to me. You have to stop smoking cigarette. He himself is smoking. How can he do that? He has to be very clear about it. His behavior will practically tell the public what has to be done. Lord Chaitanya says, a teacher should behave properly before he even begins teaching also. The one who is teaching in that way is called Acharya, or the ideal teacher. So teacher must follow all the principles of Shastra, scriptures, to teach a common man. Everything should be done in Krishna consciousness. So leader should be, his whole teaching should be based on the Shastras. Yeah? Srimad Bhagavatam also, it tells that we should all follow the footsteps of great devotees, and how they have done, what they have done. We have to read their biographies, try to progress on the path of spiritual realization, right? Even the king, he should know what are the standard book, how to follow the spiritual and moral codes. Any executive head of state, prime minister, president, even the father in the house, even a school teacher, all are considered to be natural leaders, of everyone in general. What should great men do?
Set the example for
Set example for common men to follow.
Yes, correct. Thank you. So we should set an example for others to follow. Leaders teach by conduct, sometimes gives instructions also, like Lord Krishna. And we must choose our leader carefully. We select a bona fide devotee like Srila Prabhupada, or personalities from scriptures. That's how, who have taught us how to behave in general as such. So we should choose our leaders very carefully. Yes, Hare Krishna, Raina, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. The spirit soul, bewildered by the influence of false ego, thinks himself the doer of activities that are in actuality carried out by the three modes of material nature.
Like
Hare Krishna.
two persons say Hare Krishna. Two persons say Raina is in Krishna consciousness, let's say. And I am in material consciousness, completely in this material world. We are working, both of us are working. We are on the same level. We will look also same. We will be working on the same platform. It will appear like that. But there is a big, huge difference in the way our position is. Like how I am in person in the material consciousness. I am always convinced by my false ego. I am the doer of everything. Maine to sab kuch kiya hai. The credit has to go to me. So she's in Krishna consciousness. She's thinking, okay, this is what I have done. Everything is in Krishna consciousness. Whatever I am doing, Krishna, it's for you. It's surrendered to you. So from this example, we understand that materialistic person has no knowledge that ultimately we are all under the control of Krishna only, because we have that false ego, we want to take all the credit of many independently. I have done everything. But we are actually bewildered by the false ego. It is making us forget that we have that eternal relationship to Krishna, just like Hiranyakashipu. He was suddenly got so much of ego, very, very proud of his positions. He was controlling the three worlds, and he was saying, okay, please worship me. I am everything, not Vishnu. He was chastising his Vaishnava son, Prahlad, right? In this way, he was very, very proud. But what happened? When Krishna came as Narsimhadev, everything finished like, that's it. So we should never be in that thinking that I am the doer, right? So person who is bewildered by the influence of false ego, right? Now, let's see. Arjun still has a question. What question does he have? Yes, Pradipta, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay.
Arjuna said, O descendant of Vrishni, by what is one impelled to sinful act, even unwillingly, as if engaged by force?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So we are all part and parcel of Krishna. We know that. We are actually, the soul is spiritual. It is very pure. It is free from all material contaminations. We all know. But when the soul comes in contact with this Maya, what happens? It acts in very sinful ways without any hesitation. Sometimes we do against our will also, we'll do bad things only. Bhagavad Gita says, Srila Prabhupada tells us in one of the lectures, he says, destruction in the course of when we are performing our own duty is better than engaging in another duty. We may perform our duty very badly. Doesn't matter. It is better than engaging in somebody else's duty. following somebody else's path is dangerous, says Srila Prabhupada. Like, for example, let's say Arjuna. He was a military person. He was a Kshatriya. So what was his duty? What was his work? Yes, what was his work?
To fight
To
for
fight.
Dharma.
Yes,
Fine.
to fight for the good cause, for dharma. And in the battlefield, he's thinking, why should I engage myself in this killing business? Let me just retire from it. And, if I don't get my kingdom, so be it. I will go, I will beg. This begging business, Srila Prabhupada says, is not for a householder. It is not for a military man. So Krishna says, don't try to imitate the business of a sannyasa or a brahmana. You are a kshatriya, Arjuna. Your duty is to fight. So you should follow your duty. Don't try to imitate others. And then only you can attain, perfection. If you engage yourself in your occupation, there is a condition. It should be done in Krishna consciousness. So what is Krishna asking him to do? Fight. Why? Because he's a professional fighter. And if he fights in accordance with the order of Krishna, then there is perfection. That's what Lord Krishna says. So what did Lord Krishna want Arjuna to do?
Perform his prescribed duties.
Yes.
All of the above.
Yes. Okay. Hare Krishna. Aishwarya Mata. Okay. Surekha Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is lust only, Arjuna, which is born of contact with the material mode of passion and later transformed into wrath, and which is the all-devouring sinful enemy of this world.
Yeah. Understand that desire is the enemy
Desire
and
is the enemy, one bring it under the control of the intellect.
intellect. Yes. So when we all, when we come under this Maya thing, this eternal love for Krishna, we actually love Krishna. Basically, we love Krishna. We have eternal love for Krishna. But what happens when we come over here and when we come into this Maya material world, that eternal love for Krishna, it gets changed, transformed into what? Lust. Because it gets in association of passion. Okay, I want a house, I want this, I want that. Everything is want. So the love for God becomes transformed into lust. Like, for example, milk is boiling, you put some lemon juice in it, it gets it is transformed. Or if you put some sour curd in it, milk, it becomes curd. So it changes the moment it comes. The purity is gone. So when lust is not satisfied, greed is not satisfied, oh Nira, you get angry. And that anger, that's transformed into illusion. What is happening with me? And Lord, illusion continues on and on. We did this yesterday, right? So it continues like that. So lust is the greatest enemy of the living entity. And because of lust, all the pure living entity, as such, we are all pure. We remain entangled in this world. So living entities, we are all part and parcel of the Lord. But Lord has given us partial independence, little bit. And we misuse that independence. When the service attitude is transformed into this kind of sense gratification, you want to enjoy for myself, we are under that sway of lust. But if that same lust, if we can transform into the love for God, for Supreme Lord, transform into Krishna consciousness, do everything for Krishna, then both the lust, anger, everything can be spiritualized. Like, for example, Hanuman, he was a great dasya, servitor of Lord Rama. How did he exhibit? He also got angry. But how did he exhibit his anger? He went to Ravana. He burned the golden city of Ravana. He used his anger in that way. And he was the greatest devotee of Lord, right? Even in Bhagavad Gita also, Lord is inducing Arjuna, you engage your anger, your wrath upon enemies for the satisfaction of the Lord. So the lust, the wrath, all that we can use it in Krishna consciousness. And, and then we can be completely under control then and get towards Krishna consciousness. Soul's natural thing is to love God. But same love, if we start thinking about ourselves, it turns into lust. It never gets satisfied. So let's see this one. Yes, Aishwarya Mataji, Hare Krishna.
As the fire is covered by smoke, as a mirror is covered by dust, or as the embryo is covered by the womb, the living entity is similarly covered by different degrees of this lust. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. So 3 degrees. 3 degrees of covering is there of so many living entities. And there are animals, there are trees, and there are living beings also. So 3 degrees of covering is there, which covers our pure, nice consciousness we have. It is hidden. How is it hidden? Is the example given over here. Analogies are given. So this covering is lust. It is in different manifestation. How is it covered? One, smoke in the fire, dust on the mirror, embryo covered in a womb. You can see in the picture, all the 3 pictures, the smoke, the dust, and on the mirror and the embryo. So when the living entity, we all, when we exhibit Krishna consciousness, little bit Krishna consciousness we are showing, we can be compared to smoke covered by, by the fire covered by the smoke. Why? What is the reason? Why have been the analogy given like that? Because we have that power of discrimination. Ye sahi hai, ye galat hai, this is right, this is wrong. It allows us, that discrimination allows us to introspect ourselves, go inside and question, why are we here? Who are we? What are we doing? Where did we come from? And, we can do something about it. So the smoke, if you do, the smoke can move away and we can see the fire. So we have a lot of smoke inside. The moment we say, question ourselves, go into that, the smoke will be cleared and we will see that fire and we can see the effulgence of the Lord. Second is covered mirror. What is it covered to, compared to? Birds and animals, beasts. Because dust, it is very, very heavier. It's heavier than smoke. So, and very difficult to clean it also, difficult than smoke. So these souls, they are in the bodies of birds, they're in animals, cats, dogs. Their covering is, of lust is greater. Very difficult for them to achieve self-realization. We can do it. Animals, it's difficult for them. It's compared to dust on the mirror. And the third one is embryo covered in the womb, like a baby in the womb. The analogy, it illustrates the point of a helpless position. The child, when it is in the womb, can it move? No, very difficult. It stays like that for months together, right? It cannot even move properly. So this stage is compared to what? To the trees. The trees are standing over there. They're living entities. They don't have any kind of consciousness, proper consciousness. They've been put into that condition of life by such great exhibition of lust. They're almost void of all the consciousness, But question comes over here, why is Gita going into so much detail? Because it is trying to tell us, to highlight how lucky we are in this human body, because it is giving us the facility to achieve that self-realization, to know who we are, to reach out to God, to connect to Him more easily. We can help others also. We can help other fellow souls who are in the bodies of cats, dogs, birds, beasts, plants very easily. How? How can we help them? By exposing them to the power of mantra meditation that we do. By praying. We put prayers, we do mantras, and they are hearing, right? So if you keep practicing this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra or any other mantra that you utter, so what happens? This powerful Maha Mantra, if you are doing in the presence of other living entities, we can help them to remove that dense covering that we have, right? So bhakti, that bhakti yoga is so wonderful. We just by helping others, we are helping ourselves. So the takeaway is we have to take care of this. We have to watch out for this dangerous enemy called lust. Otherwise what will happen? We will end up in that lower species of life. We won't be in the human species. So again, the analogy is given. Fire covered by smoke, like human beings, compared to human beings. Mirror covered by dust for animals and birds, and embryo covered in womb for trees. Which analogy is correct for human beings?
A.
Yes, correct. Very good. So where to find this enemy? Let's see. It is found in senses. This lust, everything is in senses. We see something, we want it. We hear something, we want it. We smell something, we want to eat. We say something, we want to do. The tongue wants everything. So these senses, how to regulate it? We try to make it very disciplined. Then another lust is found in mind. Mind wanders around wanting everything, right? So how to regulate it? We can defeat it by chanting the Maha Mantra. And then it is found in our intelligence, which tells us this is right, this is wrong. And we can gain it by gaining the spiritual knowledge from Bhagavad Gita, right? So the lesson is, we have to conquer this lust. We have to win over it. We have to regulate our senses, engage our mind, chant Maha Mantra, chant Hare Krishna, study Bhagavad Gita, study Bhagavatam, read Bhagavatam, and make wrath our friend. Like how Arjuna, who showed his wrath by fighting for dharma, and Hanuman, who had alighted the whole of Lanka. So we also should do that. We should use our lust in the right way. Yes, Aishwarya Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Therefore, O Arjuna, best of Bharatas, in the very beginning curb this great symbol of sin lust by regulating the senses and slay this destroyer of knowledge and self-realization. Hare Krishna.
What is Hare Krishna? What is Krishna advising over here? He says, Arjuna, regulate your senses from the very beginning, okay? Then you will be able to curb this great enemy called lust. So what will lust do? It destroys our knowledge. This greediness, it destroys our knowledge, and the knowledge that we are the spirit soul, we are not the body. And it is destroying our vijnana also, which is refers to us, what is the position of our soul to the relation with the God. How is it connected to God? That is the vijnana. It tells the relationship between the position of spirit soul and its relationship to the supreme soul also. And we are all part and parcel of the Lord. So we are simply meant to serve the Lord. This consciousness is called Krishna consciousness. This is what we have to understand. And what impels us to commit sinful activity? Sometimes willingly, sometimes unwillingly also we get, by force we do it. It's lust. So when the love for God goes down, it gets into lust. Not very easy to come back into normal condition, right? But Krishna, very, very merciful, right? So with little Krishna consciousness, even a late beginner, somebody who at my age also who is starting very late, for example, he can become a lover of Krishna, and by following discipline, regulative principles, devotional service, and from any stage of life, I tell you, we can begin our journey towards Krishna consciousness. So what to do? Devotional service, and we can reach the highest platform, the perfectional stage of human life. So what can we do to destroy lust at its source? What to do? We want to destroy it.
Sharpen the intelligence by chanting and hearing the holy name.
And one more.
A.
Yeah,
Follow the four rules.
Yes, correct. Very good, very good. So let's see different platforms that we have. We have bodily platform. This is called Annamaya Kosha. It's the outermost layer. This is the physical body that we are talking about. Our flesh, our blood, our muscles, bones. It is all nourished. It's maintained by the food. That is why it's called Annamaya Kosha. We eat food, it is nourished by that. So roti, kapda and all that. Then next comes Pranamaya Kosha, which is sensual platform, which means what? Life energy, pranic energy. The prana means what? What does prana means? It's pranic energy, which means breath. It's maintained by breath. So it's not just confined to only oxygen. It is the vehicle of prana, right? The oxygen. It's the vital energy that is called Pranamaya Kosha. These two are there, always there for everyone. Then comes Manomaya Kosha, mental sheath. It means the mind, the thought process, how we think, the actions we do, the reactions we do with the physical body, how we are manifesting our thoughts, feelings, our emotions. It works through all the five senses that we have. Then we get these likes, this dislike, I like this, I don't like this. That's the mental platform. Then we move on to Vijnanamaya Kosha. It is the wisdom layer, where, the intellect will tell us. It is higher than, intelligence. it contains in itself the knowledge, the power of discrimination. I know this is right. Sometimes we have intuition. My gut feeling says this is right. That's like, sometimes the intellectual kosha works. And then comes the Anandamaya kosha, bliss. Anand means bliss, joy. So it's the most subtle layer, beyond any explanation. It's spiritual. This energy layer, it's the truth of life, complete, absolute truth. Once that kosha we awaken, we feel very blissful. So let's see the ladder also quickly. First comes body, as I told you, and then we have senses. Senses are superior to this body. And then mind. Mind is higher than the senses, right? Srila Prabhupada explains the senses are different outlets of the activities of lust. Senses, ye mujhe chahiye, wo mujhe chahiye, all the senses will be telling, then the mind. And then intelligence is still higher than the mind. So senses are always superior than the body as a whole, right? So these are the sitting places of, the lust is the sitting places of all these mind, intelligence, senses, lust is sitting over there. But if you do devotional service, we chant, we are in Krishna consciousness, it won't affect us at all, not at all. So when we are in Krishna consciousness, the soul is directly engaged to the Supreme Lord, right? So naturally, all these things that we are getting into our mind, slowly, they will also get engaged to Lord Krishna. So can anyone read that? Aishwari Mataji, Hare Krishna, please read this.
Yes, Mataji. The working senses are superior to dull matter. Mind is higher than the senses. Intelligence is still higher than the mind. And he, the soul, is even higher than the intelligence.
Yes.
Hare Krishna.
So body, senses, mind, then intelligence and soul. So if you are BS, then you will miss. So BS is body, senses, MIS is mind, intelligence and soul. You can see that. The soul is higher than the intelligence?
True.
Soul is higher than the intelligence. You saw that. Where is the soul? Soul is higher than the intelligence, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, so it is true. The senses, mind, intelligence are dash for lust.
Sitting places.
Yes, very good. So these are the self, the intelligence, the mind, Yes, Aishwari Mataji, please read.
Thus, knowing oneself to be transcendental to the material senses, mind, and intelligence, O mighty armed Arjuna, one should steady the mind by deliberated spiritual intelligence, Krishna consciousness, and thus by spiritual strength conquer this insatiable enemy known as lust.
Yeah. So what is Lord Krishna doing? If by intelligence we can engage our mind somehow in Krishna consciousness, surrender to Krishna, automatically the mind becomes very strong. It will become very strong. You can try that. And even though, the senses are so strong, like serpents, they are very, very strong, like serpents, how strong they are. They will be not at all effective than serpents with the serpent ke usme se poison ka wo fangs nikal do. If you remove that, the snakes are not dangerous at all. Then you are removing the fangs, then it cannot even do any harm to you. It will become like that. Senses are like serpents all the time, trying to hiss and come forward. But if you remove the fangs, go into Krishna consciousness, it cannot do anything to us. Even though the soul is the master of intelligence, mind, and senses, but unless and until we strengthen it, we have to strengthen our soul. How can we strengthen our soul? What food should we give to our soul? Association. Association with what? With Krishna, in Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, what happens, we will fall down again and again and again. We will have that agitated mind. Mind will always remain disturbed then. What are some of the things you do to practice Bhakti Yoga?
Chanting Hare Krishna.
Chanting
and
Hare Krishna.
Reading scriptures such as the Bhagavad Gita.
Yes, very good. Both A and D. Who is responsible for our distress? Which one is most appropriate?
D.
Yes,
Our
our
own
own
karma.
karma and lack of spiritual knowledge. Yes. So what is the takeaway message that we get is we have to cultivate Sattva Guna, refine Rajas Guna, eliminate Tamas Guna. Finally, eliminate desire by picking up higher desires until the desire for Goloka removes all the desires. We have to start removing desires slowly, slowly. We have to go for the higher desires, that is Krishna consciousness. Start chanting that many number of rounds. Please start chanting as much as possible, because that is very, very important. We have to take small step and say, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Let's see the overview of chapter 3. We learned about renunciation. Renunciation means we have to detach ourselves from passiveness, detach ourselves from enjoying propensities. It does not mean that we stop doing all our work. Then we learned about what is true renunciation, and who are the real and who are pretenders. Then what is the real way of developing attachment is we have to satisfy Vishnu. Then we also learned about yoga ladder. There was sinful and sinless way of living, how karmis are doing, what they are living like an animal life, mating and defending and eating and sleeping. Then karma kandas, they do sacrifice, but for their selfish reasons. And then karma yoga, you have sakam karma and nishkam karma. Nishkam karma is better than sakam karma. Then we learned about exemplary lifestyle. We have to have proper behavior before teaching. Then we saw the biggest challenge, which is love and lust, where to find them. Senses, we have to regulate it. Mind is there, so we have to chant. It is there in intelligence also, so we have to gain spiritual knowledge like Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. What are the degrees of lust? Fire covered by smoke is compared to human living entities, mirror covered by dust to animals, an embryo covered in womb for trees. So renunciation or action, ekam vada, nishkam karma yoga to gyan yoga, niyata kuru karmatvam, karma kanda to karma yoga. So lead by example, yadyat charati, greatest enemy, and we learned about all these. So let's do this. Vancha kalpatarubhyashta kripa sindhubhya kapatitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank